G'day guys, today's topic is health anxiety, and for once this is something I've got, and so I'll be talking about my experiences more than actual information about health anxiety and hypochondriasis. But before we start, I'll give you a little bit of information and then you can click the links and do your own research. How do you like my microphone, guys? A new camera. Alright, so let's see what we've got. Basically, what health anxiety is, as the name alludes to it, is excessive worry about one's health. I don't think this is really considered a psychiatric condition or mental illness or whatever, and a lot of people have more health anxiety than others. Health anxiety can be quite normal, especially if you do have a mental condition. It's absolutely very natural to be worried about it, and if you do feel an old lump around the place, you might be anxious that it's cancer. That's normal too. What isn't normal is when it's on the mind 24/7. Well, at least a few times a day. It disrupts your function because all you can think about is what disease you're suffering from, and you might even believe that you're going to die soon. So that's really distressing, I can assure you that one. Hypochondriasis, I can't really say it. I'm going to call it hypochondriac. What that is the more extreme form of health anxiety, where you can actually interpret your body functions as symptoms of a disease, and it's basically defined as an excessive and irrational fear of suffering from a disease or going to suffer from one in the future, and it's usually about a serious medical condition. Common ones are AIDS, Alzheimer's, and multiple sclerosis, and definitely cancer. A lot of the things that are publicised is what people are anxious about. It's not often you'll get people worrying about basilar strokes, because some people don't even know what basilar artery is, but they will be worried about strokes. Hypochondriac is very serious, and I can assure you that people are not faking it at all. They are very anxious, and they may go to the doctor a lot, and they are often not reassured. They might be convinced they've got HIV and they're going to get AIDS, and no matter how many times they go to the doctor, they may think, oh, the doctor misdiagnosed this time, or they didn't really check properly, and what about if I really do have it and they're not going to check? What? I'm going to die. Those are the sorts of thoughts. Very common with hypochondriac. The cognitive aspect. There's also the somatic aspect. When you're anxious, you have all sorts of bodily sensations that are part of the natural stress response caused by the HPA axis and by the autonomic nervous system, the sympathetic division. Oh yeah. Some of these include heart palpitations, butterflies in your stomach kind of a feeling, shaking, breathing funny, and even sorts of kind of pain-like feelings. Take, for example, shaking with anxiety. That could be easily interpreted as Parkinson's or multiple sclerosis. And people with hypochondria will think so, and no matter how many times they go to the doctor, it won't help because they're shaking. That's multiple sclerosis for sure. There's also other things like hypochondria, such as medical students' disease. Often a lot of medical students worry about the diseases they're studying, and I guess I could fall under this category. I'm not a medical student, but I'm a neuroscience student. As part of that, I learn a lot about neurological conditions, and I guess by my anxieties you might notice a lot of them are neurological. Also there's somatic delusions, depression can affect it, and a disease phobia I guess. These are all very similar things. Look them up. Here's the information. And before we go, hypochondriacs aren't faking it. What I have is health anxiety. It's not as severe as hypochondriac because it's not on my mind 24/7. I usually get worries or periods of specific anxiety for periods, like episodes kind of thing. For perhaps maybe a couple of weeks, I'll worry about having contracting Alzheimer's disease. It's irrational because people my age don't really get Alzheimer's, but because my memory is a bit rusty for a little bit, I forgot something and somebody got angry at me for forgetting that thing. I think Alzheimer's, or perhaps vascular dementia, or some sort of dementia. Definitely my brain. Perhaps I should get a brain scan. What about if it's brain cancer? What could it be? And then the anxiety keeps going on, and I'm thinking and worrying about what it could be. And as well as that, I have a very vivid imagination. So I visualize what it's like to have these disorders. I visualize what it's like to have a stroke, to suddenly drop down, half paralyzed, and then slowly slip into unconsciousness. Like the pain, the excruciation it must be, and not being able to get help for it. Let's see. My first instance of health anxiety was when I was going through puberty, I guess. Growing tits. But I used to think, what about if that's cancer? And later on I realised, oh, I'm growing my tits. Puberty time, yes, duh. And at this age, I didn't really talk about my anxieties with people because the weird sort of thinking is, say I've got cancer, but then if I get it diagnosed, I know I have cancer. It's really difficult to explain that, but that's one of the main reasons now I can tell something is anxiety and I don't really fully think I have the disease. If I'm anxious about what people think about me having that, usually it's not a problem, unless it comes to something like depression, which I'll explain later. Epilepsy and multiple sclerosis were some of the ones I worried about because they're the first diseases I learned about, I think. And just being slow and the shaky hands, I thought that was multiple sclerosis. And I talked about it with a friend who also agreed perhaps she had it too. But eventually it just dissipated and I didn't really think about it much. Something I'm really anxious about, this is my big major one, and I'm going to a psychiatrist now and talking about it and still working through with it, bipolar motherfucking disorder. And more specifically, mania, nicknamed it mania phobia. Okay, after I finished high school, I got one diagnosis of depression. I've taken medication for it. Not anymore though. I'm not depressed. And there we go. That's evidence of one depressive disorder. It's half the symptoms of bipolar. All I needed now is one manic episode. And I could not be happy because happiness, elation, being excited was a symptom of mania. I could not think highly of myself because that's grandiose delusions, and I found it difficult to distinguish between grandiose delusions and just being proud of yourself. And you can understand, I guess, what kind of shit that is. And I was really worried, and I was worried about how people were judging me as a bipolar person. I think most of this stems from my dad has been diagnosed with bipolar, and my parents broke up, and they often say, I couldn't stand one another's schizophrenia, or I couldn't stand one another's bipolar. And I thought, I'm going to live with my mum, and if I have bipolar, she'll break up with me, if that makes sense. It's weird and irrational, but it's one explanation anyway. Stupid bipolar. I was afraid to talk to any psychiatrist and thing, because then he can diagnose me with it. And the opposite happened. By the time I talked about it with him, I got undiagnosed. He assured me that I didn't have bipolar disorder. I do have mood swings though, and they do cause me problems, but I don't have bipolar. If I do, I'm not going to worry about it, because the problem is the fear of mania inhibits me from doing things like going shopping. I don't want to buy anything, because what about if that was impulse buying caused by mania? If I get less than 4 hours sleep, because that's often the figure quoted is 4 hours sleep or less for manic, that's manic hours sleep, and I get really, really anxious the next day if I've had less. And I have to make myself tired, because if I'm not tired, I'm manic. Bloody hell. I'm worried about if I say something manic to someone. And you can tell, if you watch a lot of my videos, you can tell I have these mood swings. And where this is all coming from, I do get very hyperactive, and I think mania, or I don't really actually think mania, that's more my fear. The reality is I think it's hypomania, and I'm going to get a manic episode. And now I say to myself, even if I do have hypomania, that's actually not a problem in itself unless I get manic. I've had other mental illness anxieties as well, such as obsessive compulsive disorder, anorexia nervosa, borderline personality, ADD, and to a lesser extent sort of autism, though I don't really count it as a disease, so that throws it off, if you know what I mean. And if you've been watching my videos for a while, you're subscribed or not, you might notice symptoms of all these things that I'm talking about. Even gender dysphoria as well is one of them. And it's not just coming out of my arse. Like, the doctor has diagnosed me with an episode of depression. But now I've gone to a psychiatrist who assures me it's anxiety. Some examples of how this has affected me, I guess my heart is what I'm most anxious about, because I think I'm afraid of getting a heart attack, and every time I'm aware of my heartbeat, heart palpitations, this is when I was a little bit younger, I imagine what would happen if they suddenly stopped and I dropped dead. And I think about how would it be like to be dead. There's no afterlife. I don't believe in the soul, as in being apart from the body. I think the soul's part of the brain. And once I die, that's it. I'm gone. And once I had a warm shower, and it brought about heart palpitations. This was about last year. And I experienced panic attack. My stomach hurt like hell. I couldn't breathe. It feels like something squeezing onto my lungs and sort of squashing this area, like down. A stomach. What else? Rapid, like it's pounding, like bang bang. I'm afraid it's going to burst. And of course, the fear, like I'm going to die right now. Shit. And if you look at symptoms, panic attack and heart attack are quite similar, but what I was missing was that pain that's supposed to be radiating. And of course it went away after a few minutes. I just was lying on the floor begging for my life, not literally, but just thinking, oh, if I survive, oh, I'll be so happy. And as that goes on, I think, hang on, anxiety, it's alright. Around that time I was worrying constantly about my heart, and I do have a high heart rate at resting. It's about 80 beats can go up to about 100 depending on when I'm measuring it. I went to donate blood, and they also tested my heart rate, and it was high, about 110. So they advised me to go see a cardiologist. I wasn't allowed to donate blood because if I did have that heart condition, it wouldn't do me very good. And turns out my heart is fine, and it is just being caused by anxiety. Going to things like physiology class is a little bit difficult when we're experimenting on myself. I'm hyper-vigilant about my results, and I compare them with other people like no tomorrow, and from that I diagnose myself. Diabetes, asthma, all sorts of things. But sometimes I do get extraneous results, but it's being sometimes caused by my anxiety, because when I measured this lung machine, which measures your rate of breathing, mine was double normal because I was anxious into that thing. And we did the TRIA social stress test as well, which obviously I have social anxiety, that bang, all my results, my heart rate. I was so anxious even before that. My heart rate before the stress was higher than anyone's actual stress results. That was quite funny. But the good thing about this kind of anxiety is it helps me learn about diseases for uni, because if something's negative, I will remember it more. So anyway, that's been my experiences with this bloody anxiety. Just one of them, I guess. And I guess if you can relate to any of it and you want help with it, I recommend you check out the links and get more information. Or I guess the best thing to do is talk with your doctor about it or whatnot. And if it's bad enough that it's causing you to go to the doctor a lot to get these checkups and things, and if you really do feel like you need second opinions, things, go get them and whatnot. Don't see being called a hypochondriac as a put down or whatever. It's a serious condition as well as anything else that you can have. So you deserve to be treated for it. Hopefully doctors will notice that maybe you've had one too many HIV tests. Perhaps you might need a little bit of a Valium! Just kidding. Be careful with the Valium, it's addictive. Don't take it if you don't need to. Thank you very much for watching, and also don't think what I say is really true for everything, because I'm somewhere in the middle, I guess, of being completely healthy and being mentally ill, I guess. So, see you guys later. Thanks for watching.